You're listening to another episode of Beneath the Beat. Today our special guest is an incredible saxophonist, composer, improviser, and educator based in Detroit, Michigan. He leads and co-leads many different groups in Detroit. The Detroit Free Press even said, quote, he represents the next generation of jazz. So please, without further ado, welcome Marcus Elliot.
Marcus Elliot, dude, it's so good to have you.
Man, it's good to be here.
Yeah. We go, Marcus Elliot and I go way, like, I think all the way back.
All the way back.
All the way that you could possibly go back.
Yeah, pretty much.
Marcus,
especially for you, because how old are you? You're
I'm 29.
Okay, so we're not too far. Well, it just felt like you were so much younger than me.
It's because I was an immature little bitch. But Marcus and I were it was my first band. Was it your first band?
Yeah, dude, definitely.
Yeah, so both of our first band, we got together. Well, I had been taking lessons from this place called Milford Music, and the owner put this group together, and then you came, Andy, that trumpet player. He knew who you were. He's like, dude, I got this guy he's a bad dude. And you came in and you were at a different level than all of us. And it was like, whoa, we got to figure our shit out.
Oh man.
I specifically remember, I think I was like, dude, maybe 13.
Okay.
And you coming in and you were
yeah, I would have been 15.
Yeah. And you just came in and blew us away. We're like, dude, we gotta fucking practice.
Man.
That
was important. Those were really important times, man. Like for me and my playing with you guys was a really big deal for me. Like that was when I remember playing in that group and then realizing like, oh man, it's so important to play with other people on a regular basis. Dude. Because like I just remember like once I started playing with you guys, like just my just everything just started going up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like
I felt the same way, man.
You know? Yeah. And it was like I want to write music and I want to do all this stuff. And yeah, that really kind of laid the groundwork, man.
Yeah. And the group was called the Monday Bounce.
The Monday Bounce.
Because we met on Mondays. And I was talking to dude, yeah, we met Monday nights at Milford Music. It was fucking awesome. Well,
I know I got some tapes around here somewhere, bro.
Dude, okay, so I literally texted my mom and I was like, do you have any videos of us playing like back in the day? I was like, we're interviewing Marcus tomorrow. Like,
oh my God.
She's like, even if I did, I don't know where the hell they are.
I know I got some shit, man. I keep all of that shit, man. It's somewhere in one of these blank CDs around here.
Yeah. So. And that's like, dude, I agree with you, man. Like when you're young and impressionable and you're just starting to like really hone in your instrument, especially like in that age, like 13, 14,
right.
The importance of just playing with people.
Yeah.
Like it's so, it changes your trajectory like tenfold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
especially when you're playing with high quality musicians, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Like that, just being around people who are all interested in the same thing, and just want to become better and push one another. To be in an environment like that is really priceless, you know. And it's not. And the thing is that it's not common, you know. It's not a common thing to be in situations like that. So. You know, I think we should, you know, we consider ourselves very fortunate to have had that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I give Tim, the guy who put that all together, like a lot of credit. It's like he was, you know, running a business. He didn't have to do that.
He really did
because he cared, you know. And it's like as music educators, you can tell who the ones that care and the ones that are going through the motions.
Yeah.
And to be fortunate enough to have, he was one of them, but there's so many others in,
of course,
you know, my life, to have somebody that you knew, even when you're 13, 14, you knew that they cared about your success and they put you in situations that
Exactly.
And that's what Tim did. And I teach 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds every day.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what are your goals? Well, I want to do this. I want to do this. Cool. Like, and I have a lot of like drum set players. It's like, do you play with anybody? Like, do you have
Right.
like a band or something? Well, no, not yet. Well, dude, get in a group. Like,
Yeah.
get your friends from school together.
Get 'em
start
together.
learning some covers, you know? So
Make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I feel like that sense of community and those people that are pushing you, it's important in anything that you will try and do, whether it be music or art or business or anything. I feel like having that group of people, like I know with me starting my own business away from music, I didn't really feel like I had any sort of direction until I met people that were also trying to start their own thing and, you know, trying to go on their own path. So I feel like that's so important. And I genuinely wonder how young people are doing now in this environment of COVID where, you know, they can't really play together, especially, you know, like you guys met at Milford Music. Well, Milford Music probably isn't doing a whole lot right now, you know?
No.
So I wonder what they're going to do. And I wonder what we could do to help them and give them that sense of community in times like this, you know?
Yeah. I think it's not good. That's for sure. It's not good. I mean, it's
definitely not good.
It's not good. I don't think, I think we're really going to see the effects of this. Not just in music, but obviously just in the world, but we're talking about music here. You know, I think we're really going to see the thing that I'm worried about is, I think we're as educators and as musicians, we're doing we're doing our best and we're doing what we can to substitute getting together and playing together. And you know, I'm an educator just like you guys are, and like I'm in the trenches. I'm trying to come up with things and do what I can. The thing that I'm worried about is that with students who have never had that experience and are getting into the music now, this is what they think it is. And so for that to be your first introduction to the music, it's going to be interesting to see how that influences the trajectory of their path as musicians, you know, for those who decide to stick with it.
And it's like that you bring up a good point, because, you know, the kids coming in the first time that they have a rehearsal with other musicians, it's like, well, this is foreign. This is not how it's usually. Like, I usually just do music in my house, and it sounds, you know, I can't even imagine what that's going to be like for a 12-year-old or even younger, you know?
And
like,
I think that's the thing that I'm worried about is that they don't have to join a band anymore. At least they don't think they do, to be, you know what I mean? Like, they can just be at the crib and just do their thing. And yeah, we'll see. You know, we'll see what happens. I obviously there's no replacement for coming together. And I think I'm hoping that what will happen is when things do come, when we are able to come back together, and when those kids who haven't had that experience, once they have that experience, it's just going to blow them out of the water.
It's going to have even more of an impact.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for.
I mean, I feel like it will, though, because it's like when you're there and you're playing with musicians in person, there's a vibe. Like there's something that you can't explain that's in the air.
Right.
And you can't get that through Zoom, no matter how, you know, or whatever really online platform you're using. I know Dominic was, I think, you know, Dominic.
Yeah.
He was showing me the other day, Andy, what was that software or that website that he was talking about that allows you to do online live jam?
Right. Online rehearsal.
Oh,
yeah. I can't remember the name, but yeah, totally.
There's a couple different companies trying that out right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is super cool. It's
cool. Yeah.
But there's still nothing that can really replace that vibe, you know? And when you're there, I feel like how can it not knock your socks
Yeah,
off? How
exactly.
can it
Yeah.
not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially listening to Marcus Elliot play. Holy
Oh, whatever.
shit.
Get
Dude,
out of
and
here.
that's- though.
I swear to God, man, like you are, you are a pioneer, specifically in the Detroit area. You're putting Detroit on the map, man. And I mean that wholeheartedly. And the fact that like,
Thank you, Andy.
yeah, you've stayed
Thanks,
so,
man.
I mean, and like the fact that you're like super humble and you're the whole package, dude. Like that's what I want. Honestly, that's what we're talking about students. It's like, do I want my kids to be influenced by this person over here is really good, but also a dick? Or do I want my kid to be influenced by this person over here who's just as good, but just a great person as well? And that's like, that's for me, that's the whole package is not only are you an amazing musician and you're versatile in all, genres and playing and, composing and arranging, but you're just a good person.
Well, thank you, Andy.
Yeah, man.
That means a lot,
and
bro.
I can't wait for this all to be over and we can hang and have a beer.
Yes.
Or something.
Yes. For real.
Dude. So
For
speaking
real.
of like pioneering music, especially like jazz music in Detroit, you have been super active. I've heard about everything that you've been doing for over the years. And the one thing that I wanted to really there's a bunch of things I wanted to talk about, but I kind of wanted to ask, because the Polyfold Music Arts Collective, you co-founded that and put that all together. So kind of what was the spark behind that? Because that's
the spark behind it at the time was there were a bunch of young musicians living in Detroit at the time. This would have been 2014, 2015. We had all basically just kind of graduated college and just were living in Detroit. I was putting out an album, When the City Meets the Sky. And I was in my room and my bass player at the time lived with me. And, we were talking about like just promotion for the album and all this stuff. And we were basically like, yo, we just need to get everybody together and start a collective. Like, let's just do this. You know what I mean? Like, we need to get everyone together and like really promote each other's projects. That was the idea behind it. And so I called up pretty much everybody I knew.
That's cool.
That I thought would be interested. And we started having meetings and we did a few things here and there. I'm currently not a part of it right now. The core of it, a lot of those guys actually ended up moving to New York.
Yeah.
So I'm still in communication with them and do plan on doing things with Polyfold. But they're taking it in a whole direction and doing some really, really cool stuff with it. Doing a lot of like concert series out there and stuff like. It was an idea that was like, we got to come together and try and make this happen, Yeah. And so I'm happy we did it.
Yeah, that's really cool. And the fact that you got, so you're registered as like a nonprofit, right? So you're like tax exemplary.
Correct.
So you're able to do fundraisers and ask for grants and in order to facilitate like events and stuff like that. Is that how it kind of works?
Yes, man, that was the idea. That was the idea behind it. We got our 501c3 in order to, like you just said, to apply for grants, tax exempts, really kind of start making things happen. And and that's what it's doing right now. Like they apply for different things. They really support creative endeavors, like creative musicians who are doing things that necessarily wouldn't get supported, in other circles and situations,
Right. And so you're able, because of those grants, you're able to show people and put on events. Well, you're able to put on events that show people types of music and art that they would never be exposed to.
Right.
You know, I was watching, like, just seeing some of the collaboration, some of the videos, and like seeing some of the pictures of like the visual art stuff. It's like, that's the stuff that, you know, the average person wouldn't be exposed to. They just wouldn't be. You know, the average person goes on YouTube and
Right.
looks up football highlights. You know what I mean? But it's like
Right.
having that exposure to like something new and different. You know, you can't even appreciate something if you don't even know it exists.
Yeah.
So I think that's so important. I think what you guys did was like, that's such a good step. And I think there might be a lot of people listening to this podcast who have an idea in their head and like want to figure out how to take that next step. And I think that's like some very enlightening info for them. I know for me, I would have never thought about putting a collective together like that and like laying the groundwork for like a lot of creative people to be able to do what they love. It's cool.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like, you got to do what you got to do to survive out here, you know, like it's really about resilience. You know, that's what to me, like being an artist and being a musician, you have to be a resilient motherfucker to do this shit, man. Like to really do what you want to do as an artist, like you have to be willing to sacrifice a lot. And you just got to be on it. You have to be on it, and you have to do what you need to do in order to thrive, you know?
Yeah, man. You got to be like, you got to be like an entrepreneur.
You do.
You got to think outside the box. You got to, you know, we go to college and we've had this Zach and I have had this conversation with a bunch of people. It's like you go to college and you learn your craft and you learn how to like really get around your instrument and all of that. You learn you learn the history, you learn everything from all angles of the music's part.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of like understanding the market and how you can be an entrepreneur and
no.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you know, and this is something I'm beginning to realize just now, like, I think it's real easy to kind of like, I'm not saying you're doing this, but I think it's really easy to like hate on school for that reason.
Sure.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
For the real world. And it's actually not there to prepare you like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no way you can be prepared for the real world except for living in the real world.
Right.
You know, and I think there's a lot of students that come out and they're like, oh, I don't feel like I'm ready. And it's like, well, you're not ready. Of course you're not ready. You have to, the only way you get ready is by being in it. You know, it can't be you. And it goes back to that resilience thing. You know what I mean? Like you have to be resilient. You know, you take what you can from your experiences from college and just from your everyday life, and you know, then you incorporate it into what it is that you want to do, you know?
Yeah. That's a good point, man. That's a different perspective than what we've been talking about too. Cause we've definitely been talking about like how we feel that, at the collegiate level, they've been kind of stuck in this like Western classical era of education.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
they are
definitely, but you bring up a very good point as far as they're here to prepare you for what your degree is certified and like what entails of your degree. They're not necessarily there to prepare you for the real world experience though.
Right. And I think that, well, and I want to make this clear. Like the problem that I have with the school situation is how much money people are putting into it.
Dude.
And the lie, because there is a lie. There's a little small lie that is, you know, it's like, well, we're not telling them a lie. We're just not telling them the truth. You know what I mean? And that thing is, you know, we can't really prepare you for what it is to come because we don't know. They don't know. Especially now, man, the way as fast as things are changing now, like there's no way, like,
right.
You like, let's say, okay, you prepare, you know, let's say you're graduating right now and And 4 years ago, you took a class on like social media marketing.
Yeah.
That was 4 years ago, bro.
Right.
Like that shit is not going to work now. Even if you try, that's what I'm saying. Like even if you try to get some shit really locked in, I just think that it's to me, there's just a certain level of ownership that we need to take as people and as artists.
I agree with that.
And that just becomes, I think that also just comes with maturity. You know what I mean?
Dude.
As a person, like you just it's really easy to blame other people for and institutions for the problems that we deal with. But also at the same time, the institution does have blood on their hands for what the lie that they continue to feed a lot of people for profit. You know?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I feel like that lie, it goes so deep in society where like we are taught no matter what you want to do, whether you want to be a creative person or what, you have to go to school so you can do that. Like when in reality, that's not the case.
It's just not the case.
It's not the case. You know,
but I do think that is being, it seems to be getting shaken up, especially now. I think people are really starting to see the cracks in the educational system, and specifically at the collegiate level and the just how much these places are profiting off of children. You know? Because what they are doing is like, you know, you're making these decisions when you're 17, maybe 18 years old, hundreds of thousands of dollars decisions, and that's, you know, it's not good, man. It especially if you don't take it serious, especially if you're a person who gets in there and you're just not mature enough to take it serious,
right?
And you end up with a bunch of student debt and alcoholism,
right,
know?
Man.
Like that's what you're left with.
Yeah, that's why you know, dude. I find it so interesting that like when you're 17, you usually have to you need to have a cosigner to buy a car. You know, you when you're that age, it's like you need to like usually have a cosigner to get a credit card. When it comes to student loan, and you usually get a gap on like the amount of, you know, you take out a credit card loan or take out a credit card for like $1,000 or something. And it's like, that's all they're going to permit you to do. Cause I remember doing that. But when it comes to student loans, there's no fucking gap. You can take as much money out as possible.
Take it all. Yeah.
It's like, it's the same from what I'm seeing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of the same thing as like the housing crisis in like the mid 2000s, where it's like people were taking out loans for houses they couldn't pay for.
Yeah.
You know, it's like people are taking out loans for education that they can't pay for, but their other option is to not get an education.
Yeah.
And we're being taught.
I think it goes back to like, they think that the education is what will allow them to pay for it.
Right. Well, that's the idea.
That they're fed that like, well, you get this education, then you'll be able to get a good job. And when it goes down to it, in my opinion, I feel like that's what education is there for. Education in the way that it stands right now is there to prepare you for a role in society working for other people. That's what it in its root it's there for. It's there to prepare you to work for other people. But one huge gap across every level of education, in my opinion, again, it's financial literacy. You know, we don't teach financial literacy at any level of education. So we wonder why so many people in our country are impoverished. And it's like, well, you can win the lottery and then go broke in 5 years.
Yeah, it could be the worst thing that happened to you.
Yeah, man.
And it's not because you didn't have any money. It's because you're not financially literate. You know,
it's very important. Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally right. And I think that you know, I think that a lot of my teachers it's like they didn't necessarily know themselves. You know what I'm saying? To be able to even be able to share that stuff. You know what I mean? So I try, like I said, you know, I just try and in situations like that, I just really try and not. I don't, like I said, I don't want to be like blaming
Sure.
these institutions for too much. Although they know what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah,
I think
they know what they're doing. Yeah.
I think I do think that I like to talk, especially to my students. I like to talk to them a lot more about, okay, listen, you cannot be fed this. Like, this is not something that you're just gonna, you can't pay for it and get a degree and be good at it. You really just have to experience it. It's your life. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're basically talking about, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's living your life and learning. That's the best teacher. There's no better teacher than that.
Yeah.
And as long as you're willing to listen and, you know, and continue on the path that you want to continue on, you'll learn a lot.
Yeah. Resilience, everyone.
Resilience is the word of the day.
It's the word of the day. Thank you, Marcus, for that.
Yeah.
Seriously though, it's like you gotta in order to make, and it's very special in our case as musicians, but it's also a beautiful thing because it allows you can be resilient, but it really tests your creative boundaries. You know what I mean? Because you have to make a living as a musician, that forces you to dig deep in not only like your willpower, but your creativity to make something happen. And Marcus, I think you set a really good example for just the different avenues that you can take to pave your way really, really freaking well, man.
Yeah. Marcus, that's one thing I love about your music is that I never just see you doing one thing. You know what I mean? Like, I heard about you the first time as a jazz cat because I was really good friends with Dom, and that's when I started coming down to Detroit and seeing cats play and everything. And that's when I first heard about you. And then a couple years later, I met this cat, Ben Willis.
Oh yeah.
I heard that you were featured with his group Saj Talk, so I went and dug them, and I'm like, whoa, this is totally.
Oh, you were at that show?
I wasn't at the show, but I watched the stuff they've got.
Okay, man, that shit was fucking crazy.
So wild.
So
wild.
much drugs.
That was a wild. There was a lot of influences going on that night. That's for sure. And it was a full moon. I remember that.
Oh, so everybody was extra fucking crazy.
It was all like, ooh, everybody was all weird shit. It was great. We had a good time.
Dude, it's so cool. It's so cool. And I love that because you see a lot of times, like, I feel like creative people of any kind get pigeonholed into this one thing, you know, where like the free jazz cats, like, oh, they play free jazz, you know, that's it. And I feel like that's one thing that you do so well is you can do everything, you know what I mean? And you do everything. You do so many different kinds of music and you do it so well, and you curate too, you know, like just all these different things. So I love that, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's always never really got I never loved it in the genre thing, man. Like I you know, it's that cliche, man. Music is music. Good music is good music, and I think that musicianship is what is important. And if you have good musicianship, you can pretty much do, you know, what you want to do. If you have good musicianship and you're a good person, you're gonna be all right. And I think that's kind of like just how I've tried to be. Is just like just be a person that other people want to be around, because that's really important. Yeah. And have a strong voice, because that's really important to me. Like having a voice as you know, an identity as an artist. But then also, you know, be able to present that voice in many different ways.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Losing who I am, but also at the same time still being able to just do what I'm interested in, you know?
Yeah.
So
presenting your voice in many different ways.
Yeah.
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 Man, that goes to creativity in such an interesting light, because I feel like once somebody, oftentimes they're like, with artists, I feel like they find their voice and then they present it and someone likes it, and then they're afraid to present it in a different way because
Right.
they're afraid
Mhm.
people won't like it, and that's one thing I love about Jacob Collier's music, where he definitely has his style, lots
Right.
of notes and lots of chords and all this stuff,
Yeah.
but his music just feels so explorative. I don't know.
Yes.
It's just
I
like
think that's
he's
a
not
very-
afraid to explore.
No, he's not.
Yeah, and I love that. It's like, if somebody doesn't like it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But this is art. I wanna explore.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's been his thing since day one, and it's been really clear, and I think that's a great example. Obviously, that you talk about musicianship, that guy is through the roof with it.
He's a psycho.
He's nuts, man. He's crazy.
Unbelievable.
So I don't know. Yeah, it's really important to not get caught up. I think a lot of people can just get caught up in genres and all that stuff. And, to me, it's like actually more about lineages and traditions. Like that's the way that I kind of like try and look at the different situations that I get into. I always, instead of thinking about it as a genre of music, I think about it as like a tradition of music.
Wow.
And so I try and like, that's what I try and tap into, and try and like, you try and respect that. You know what I mean? That's the thing,
dude.
That you try and bring like as much attention and respect to, is like the tradition of whatever it is that you're coming into. Because everything has a tradition. There's no new shit. You know what I mean? Everything comes from something. Like, to obviously jazz has a deep tradition, and that's what I learned. Like, that's probably the biggest thing that I learned when I was in college and undergrad, was how to study a tradition and in a respectful way,
Wow,
so
man.
Taking that and being able to apply that to different things, without losing yourself, is basically the name of the game.
That just puts such a positive light on being like playing any genre. But like I use that word, but now I feel bad using that word. But like, you know what I'm saying?
It's like the word.
Yeah, but it's that puts such a positive aspect on every kind of music that you play. When you said tradition, I immediately thought the word respect.
Yeah.
Before you even said respect. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, there's a tradition there, so you got to respect that. How do you respect that?
Right.
Like, whether it's alternative, death metal, whatever, or country music or jazz or whatever, there's a tradition there, and there's
a beautiful tradition.
Man,
I have yet to find a music where there wasn't some beautiful tradition tied to it. You know what I mean?
Just music in general is
it's medicine. You know what I mean? Like, I really consider what we do is as medicine, man. And I think that's become very clear this past year, because it's been ripped away from so many people to experience that medicine and live, But that's what we're doing is we are practicing a way of creating beauty and connecting with people, and that there's just different ways to do that, and there's like a music it brings together people. It creates an ideal for people. It creates a thing for people to be like, I can attach myself to this because I feel this way, and I know other people that listen to this music also feel this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you think about, like the punk scene, like obviously, like that's, you have people who feel a certain type of way about things, and they know that other people that listen to this music feel a certain way about those things. You think, you can think about country music. You can think about any sort of style of music, brings together people who are like, yeah, this is how I feel, this is how I think, this is how I want to identify. And so that's why, that's why I listen to it. And that's why it's so important to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And like you as a musician who may be hired, you've established yourself in this kind of music, you've studied jazz, and then you're hired in a country group or whatever. It's like, you have to look at that from that perspective.
Totally.
I've never thought about that.
As long as it's good music, though. Once again, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of BS out there, man. There really is, and it's important to be able to spot that shit. You know what I mean? Like that's another thing too. Like people that don't take it serious, or people that are just in it for the money or for some other weird reason.
I think you can. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I just try and stay away from that. I really try and stay away from the commercialization of some of these art forms.
And I think most people can pick up on that too. Most people can pick up on when somebody's being sincere or not. Of course. And that will rear its ugly head, whether it's in 10 days or whether it's in 5 years. It's like, it will come around eventually.
Oh yeah. You can't hide it.
Your tap will run dry.
Yes, it will.
Whereas if you're authentic, and you're true to what you do and you believe in what you do, that tap is just going to keep going.
Maybe. I don't know. I think it could, it could dry up at some point, and, I don't know. I think that's a whole other thing, but I don't know if it's that simple. I think it's like, those are just kind of two different things in my head. The inspiration thing is tricky, man. It's a tricky thing. It's not just on all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that's not what you're saying, but
it's
just like, it is hard work. This is why people don't do it, because it's hard work to be authentic. It's super hard, man. It's really hard to be yourself. And at the same time, it's very freeing, and it's how we want to be. But it is not easy, man, especially in the world we live in. Like it's to really express how you feel, and to create beauty around that in a way that's authentic to you. It's a very challenging task, and when people, and I've just always been in the belief that when people see that, they will resonate with it.
Well, and it's also ever changing too.
Right.
Like, I know for me, the person and the player that I am, more importantly, the person that I am now is not even close to the same person even 2 years ago.
Right.
And so it's ever changing, which I think is also, I think that's great.
Yes.
I think it's great that you can constantly re-identify, because that means that I feel like that's growth.
Yes. That is growth.
So
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. You have to be constantly, reevaluating who you are and what you believe in.
Right. And that is like through the experiences that you have. It's like in your life. It's, like when I started to go full circle, when I started playing with like the Monday Bounce, and we were all playing together.
Yes.
Dude, before that, I was listening to fucking Metallica and Dream Theater, and like,
right.
I was a straight up metalhead,
Yeah,
and
man.
like,
I remember.
Like, dude, why is that kid playing so fucking loud?
With your big baseball bat sticks.
Yeah, dude, check these out, man. These are innovative percussion tree trunks. But like, dude.
Dude, that's just so wild.
Hey, guys, can we press pause for 1 second?
Yeah, totally.
I just need to check with my wife real quick on one thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm gonna go take a shit. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, dude. It was funny. I remember we played this show together, and I just bought this like firecracker snare, and it was like this thick.
Wait, the firecracker snare that you have in Boss, the little one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you still have it. You still use
with
it.
this. I don't still use it. I don't know where it is. Is that
you did when
right?
You used to. I mean, you did for a while playing with paddle bots.
Yeah, dude, that same one. But I like, okay, this is my main snare drum.
What?
No. Yeah. So then like we played this gig and I was like, boom, ping, boom, ping, boom, ping, like fucking.
Dude, that's
what
so
the
funny.
fuck are you doing?
That's so that's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. No,
Yeah,
this is a seriously profound conversation.
Yeah. Good perspective.
Yeah. I'm taking my boots off real quick. So I've got my boots on still, and I'm like, damn, my feet are sweating.
Why the fuck do you have your boots on? You're inside, bud.
Dude, I know. It's because I'm in my office, and it was cold, and there's snow.
All right, we're back.
We're
Cool.
back. Everything good, man?
Everything's good. Everything's good.
Everything's
Just
good.
Check in.
Gotta check in
Yes.
with the wife.
Got to check in with the wife, man. Got to do it.
How's she doing?
She's doing great. She's doing
That's
really
great, man.
good. Yeah, she's this time has been great. We've been able to just spend a lot of good quality time together. You know what
That's
I mean?
awesome.
So it's been a very, very positive thing over here, you know.
I
So
definitely
that's good.
feel that. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like as many, as there's been so much negative, like
of course.
there's so much positive in the fact that you're just able to spend time, like quality time with the people you truly care about.
Yes.
And that's awesome. And that in itself too is life changing.
Hmm.
Like you change.
Oh yeah.
My perspective has changed a lot in the past year.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I think it's really cool,
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, that's awesome, man.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about how I used to play loud as fuck all the
Oh
time.
right.
But like, so what I was saying, like, so I was like a metalhead, it's like my musicianship and my personality was one way, and then playing with y'all, that completely changed. Yeah. Playing with y'all.
Playing with y'all.
That completely changed, man. That changed my perspective. I started listening to jazz, I also got, because Tony Lannon. You remember Tony Lannon?
Yes, of course.
I used to play. So I went to high school with him.
Right.
And him and I used to play together all the time. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
do you know Marcus Miller? And I was like, yeah. I could play with that guy all the time, like,
all the time.
like back in the day. Yeah. And
Yeah, man.
it was like, we made that connection, and I was like, oh,
Hey,
shoot.
let's
And then-
let's take a moment to explain to listeners too, because you said Marcus Miller. I don't want to confuse them. So my last name is Miller. This
Mhm.
is there's a story tied to this. So my
let's hear it.
my full name is Marcus Elliot Miller.
Mhm.
When I was 18 or 19, I had my first gig at Baker's Keyboard Lounge.
Mm.
And I was still using the name Marcus Miller at the time.
Mhm.
So on their marquee, they put, tonight we have the Marcus Miller Quartet, right?
Oh shit.
And there was a line around the block. They were charging like $30 like for people to get in.
You gotta be shitting me, dude.
And people were lined up getting in there, and I was like, and then there's like this 19-year-old kid with his college band playing Wayne Shorter compositions. Like I made a lot of people mad. However, there was a lot of people that stayed and really enjoyed it. I will say that. But that was the night where I was like, all right, I gotta rebrand this shit. This ain't gonna work. I can't be going around. Exactly, right? But then I waited, and I never got any Marcus Miller checks in the mail. So that was when I was like,
damn it.
That was it. If I would have gotten some Marcus Miller checks, we
would have kept that shit going, dude.
We're gonna keep this going. This is good.
Dude, that is a wild story.
I love that. I did not know that, dude. That is awesome.
Yeah. So
and that makes complete sense.
yes.
Because
Yeah.
I knew you first as Marcus Miller. I didn't even know who the hell Marcus Miller was, the bass player. And then I figured out then in high school I learned who Marcus Miller was. I was like, oh, that's funny.
Right.
Like I remember playing with Marcus Miller.
Right.
And but like I thought you just changed your name because you just didn't want to like and it is that way a little bit. You just want to be confused with that. But that perspective is hilarious too. It's like, no, you don't want to like go to shows and
have to
piss a bunch of people off all the time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they would
listen. They would listen to you play for 2 minutes and be like, "Okay, this is cool.
Okay, it's cool." It's date night. Stuff. I'm gonna, be cool with it. Yeah. So yeah, man.
Dude, I love that story. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny, man. It's just funny because like the only reason why it even took off was because like, and what I mean by took off, like the name actually started to stick, Marcus Elliot, was because I changed it on Facebook at a time where Facebook was just starting.
Yeah.
So
man.
I was just like meeting these people and they were just seeing me as Marcus Elliot. And then it just kind of, it's just funny to think back on that because it was such a small, like innocent thing. It was just like, oh, I'll just change my name on Facebook and we'll just do it like that. And it was like as if I went into like the vaults in City Hall and like recarved my name as Marcus Elliot and some shit.
Yeah.
Like
it wasn't even like you just went down to the courtyard.
No, there was
legally changed your name. It's like
no.
Oh wow!
I just went on Facebook and just changed the lettering. And
I kind of remember that too. I was like, oh, Marcus Elliot, that's cool, man.
That's cool. Yeah,
take that shit. Yeah, dude, that's just a great story. But like you like created this, like a lot of people know who the hell you are,
a lot
like,
of people know the hell
specifically, in the Detroit area, a lot of like, and that was
do you guys really feel that way?
Oh yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
The fact that I've heard your name from more than 5 people from completely different areas in my life. It's like, well, yeah, I know Marcus. Well, yeah, I know Marcus. I remember saying, well, yeah, I know Marcus. Like 5
that tickles me, man.
Yeah, man. You've kind of created this like community, and you've created a name for yourself. And I was just curious, like, there's probably a lot of people, and let's like COVID aside, there's a lot of people that are probably they're struggling to make that same connection with a lot of people. Especially like just first starting out, they're struggling to kind of like make their name and make themselves seen and heard. And I remember being one of those people too, it's like, what am I doing that I'm not getting the gigs that I want to get, it's like, or I'm not getting seen by the people that I would like to be seen by. And you've been seen by some of the best, man. Like, what's the list? What do we got? We got,
what?
Kareem Riggum. Well, you playing with like Jimmy Cobb, Kareem Riggums, Rodney Whitaker, like to name a few. Like, can you just kind of talk? Yeah. Yeah, dude. Can you just kind of like, and I know this might sound a little cliche or whatever, but can you kind of talk us through how you're able to get to where you are? If that's not too broad. I know that might be a really fucking broad question, but I think a lot of people would.
Well, let me show you my 5-step formula that I've done.
Yeah, this is my.
I don't have a formula.
Or just like your experience, just your experience.
No, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I'll talk about my experience because I think that it's important to understand that the amount of luck and right place at the right time that goes into doing this, which is why it is not a career that is like I would recommend to anybody who wants any sort of like real stability in their lives, just because it really, there's just so much that needs to go right. And there's so many, and there's also like, so I feel extremely blessed by um, the mentors that I've had and the community that I was brought up in. So let me step back. So like, you know, my dad was taking me to jazz clubs when I was around the same time I met you, Andy, around 14, 15 years old.
Cool.
By doing that, I started meeting real jazz musicians and just making a fool of myself and playing with them. And a lot of these people really took me under their wing. And Marcus Belgrave being one of those people. And then I got involved in the youth program down at the DSO, and that connected me to all of these young Detroit musicians. At that point, I realized that holy crap, I am now like a part of this community of people.
Yeah.
You know, it really comes back to community and the and the beautiful thing about being plugged into the Detroit scene was that just the quality of musicians that I was being plugged into were just really high, you know, and they really, they blessed me in the way of giving me a chance. You know what I mean? Over and over and over. And because of that, I was able to thrive and really be myself. And the other part of this too is that, you know, like, I worked my ass off, you know?
Hell yeah.
And still am working my ass off, you know, like there's that aspect to it too. Like there's just a lot of work that goes into place, but I know every project that I do, like there is no guarantee that it's going to do well. There's never any guarantee. And, you know, it's just a combination of a lot of things, man. I mean, it's, you know, I would say, so let me see if I can break it down in this way into untangible things and more tangible things. So the untangible things, like I said, right place, right time. You know, being having a father that saw a talent in his son and exposed him to people that he knew would benefit his son. There's a lot of things that happened that were outside of my control, and I think that's why you mentioned like, oh, Marcus, you're so humble and shit like that. And it's just because I really do recognize that, like, man, this shit is a real gift, you know, to a very strong extent. Like this is in some ways, it doesn't even really feel like it's mine. It feels like it's something that has been passed to me. You know what I mean? So that's how I treat it, man. I treat it as such. And on the other side of things, it's like, you know, show up on time, be a good person, obviously you have to be a good musician. Like that's number one. You know what I mean? Number like one, that, yeah. That's, everyone's good though, but that's the thing, is that there's plenty of people that are wonderful at what they do. So that's just the bottom, that's the baseline thing, you know? Right. You know, you gotta be a leader. You gotta be willing to lead your own groups and to put yourself out there, especially here in Detroit. I think it's really, really important. If you're going to be an artist here in Detroit, not only can you play with others, but you can lead your own groups, just because this, you know, it's a city, but it's a small city. And if you want to make things happen, you really gotta make it happen, you know? So that's really important. You know, constantly, not only getting better at your craft, but getting better at at marketing, getting better at presenting yourself on stage, getting better. Just, there's all these things that you can do, and you should do those things, but I think the thing that connects those two things is once again community. If you're fortunate, if you're fortunate enough to find yourself in a community of people doing really positive and things that you want to do, you should jump into it and dive as deep as you can to it, and allow yourself to be tied into it,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that's such an important lesson, like community. And when we say the word community, it feels like such a big thing. You know what I mean? Like it has to be, well, there's this huge community, but I think a community can be super small. Like I know for me, my community was playing with paddle bots, like playing with those guys completely changed my outlook on music. And it's not like at that point that I started playing with them, I've been playing music for, I don't know, 9 years, 10 years probably.
Okay.
And it still completely changed everything for me. And even though it's 8 guys, you know what I mean? 8 people that we just were able to hang and able to play, completely changed everything, changed my direction.
Yeah.
I mean, changed almost what I feel is my primary instrument now at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
totally,
it's wild. So that community, I feel like, can be super small. It's
Yeah.
just getting with those people that you feel like will push you and you feel inspired to be around,
right.
Yeah. Being again, going off of community, but like just being engulfed and playing with people who are way, way fucking better than you are.
That's important.
That's
huge.
That's huge.
And that's also the thing now that college does provide. It provides that community. It provides like putting you in situations with people who are really they're trying to be the best that they can at what they do,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So to surround yourself with people like that is huge. And now universities is where that's happening, at least for the music that I make. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I think fear is a big thing too. I think what keeps people away from those situations is the fear that they won't live up to their own expectations when they get in that situation.
Oh yeah.
Like being able to let go of that and say it's okay that I'm not the best here. It's okay. It's in fact it's better that I'm not. It's better that I'm not the best. So, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, if you're the best, something's wrong.
Yeah. You got to get out of that situation.
Yeah, it's time to get out.
Especially when you're young, too. It's like if you come in and you're the best, it's like,
and you're like, exactly.
I got to get out of here. I got to do something that's going to challenge
something different.
And that's cool that you were able to do that. It's like you're able to immerse yourself in a community at such a young age, and like, okay, I got a lot of learning to, I got a lot of growing to do, and I'm able to do it in this in this community because everybody here's. There's a lot of good people here.
It's a lot of good people. Good people. I mean, that's what it's about, man. It's the people. It's about the people.